Famous Texas barbecue joint Black's Barbecue has a very interesting way of smoking their briskets. They smoke it to around 180 internal, put it in the fridge, then smoke it again the next day until it's done. It's supposed to create the best bark imaginable, but will it work for us backyard pitmasters? We're gonna find out in this video, so let's get smoking. But before we get smoking, we got an issue here. I forgot to take out these 2 briskets out of the freezer last night, so they are frozen solid. But luckily, I have an idea. Now, I happen to have an industrial brisket defrosting machine in my backyard, so I just dunk them in and give them a bath at 104 degrees Fahrenheit for around 30 minutes. Hang out with them a bit, talk about how the government needs to do something about beef prices, but then he says it's due to surging demand in beef, drought conditions, and shrinking herd sizes. But we all know it's the lizard people from the Draco constellation to blame. Actually, I need a plastic liner for this. I don't want aluminum foil leaching into my head. There we go. Actually, I need some butcher paper to line the plastic so I don't get microplastics. Ah, perfect. It's been 30 minutes. These briskets are defrosted and they're ready to go. Now I'm giving them a quick trim. They were actually still frozen in the center and smelled a little bit like chlorine. I should probably drain my hot tub now, just thinking about it. So maybe it wasn't the best idea, but they did get trimmed and that's what matters. Next, I'm rubbing them with some rub. My rub, Smoke Trails Barbecue Brisket Rub, the rubbiest rub you can rub on your brisket. It's my favorite rub, and I think you should rub it on your meat as well. It's available on Amazon or my website, smoketrailsbbq.com. Finally, I'm giving them a layer of kosher salt because I like how it stays together throughout the cook and gives you kind of a little salty, crunchy bite on the bark at the end of the cook. And out at the pit, I'm lighting up some cherry wood. Onto my 250-gallon offset smoker the briskets go, and I'm going to give them a quick spritz just to help the spices dissolve a little bit. 8 hours later, I'm removing the control brisket, foil boating it, and putting it back on the smoker, because that's how I cook my briskets. The Black's brisket goes naked the whole time though. 9 hours later, the Black's brisket is 180 internal, so I'm taking it off the smoker, putting it in a pan, foiling it, and putting it in the fridge overnight, but you can actually leave it in the fridge up to a week. Several hours later, the control brisket is at 195 Fahrenheit internal, so I'm foiling it and I'm putting it in the holding oven at 150 until the next day, as is my way. Next day, round 2 of lighting up the pit. At this point, I'm wondering, why am I lighting up the pit 2 days in a row for one brisket? But if it makes a better brisket, I'm here for it. Out of the refridge, the brisket comes, and onto the pit it once again goes. I was hoping this second cook would be a lot faster because it had lost a lot of water weight cooked the day before, but it still took another 8 hours to get to probe tenderness, which was around 200 degrees for me, but it will be different depending on every brisket. All right, guys, time to cut into this brisket. A couple things I learned about this cook. I did cook this all day yesterday, and then as you saw, I put my brisket in the holding oven behind me, and this brisket went in the fridge. The next day, I thought this was going to take much less time to get finished because it had already lost a lot of its moisture weight the day before. So I thought this was only going to take maybe 4 to 6 hours. It did take a full 8 to 9 hour kind of work day for me to finish it off. So I'm kind of in a hurry because my kids are waiting for dinner right now and I gotta cut this brisket up really quickly. So I'm kind of biased already because I'm not a huge fan of the fact that this took a lot longer than I thought it would to cook. And also I used a lot more wood because I basically did 2 cooks in a row, one yesterday and one today. And I used a lot of wood and it took a lot of time. Will this brisket be worth the effort? That is the question. Let's cut into it and find out. Just looking at it now, I mean, looking at the rendering, it does look like it has some nice fat cap rendering. It is very crispy. I don't know if you can hear that, but listen to this. It's very crispy, a lot crispier than my normal briskets. Let's cut it in half. It also smells really smoky. Okay, we'll do the classic brisket waterfall here. Looks decently juicy. Pretty juicy on the flat end there. Pretty good there. Let's try some point slices. And you guys can hear this, look at this. Very crispy, very, very crispy. That's a lot crispier than my normal briskets. Cutting this off, I can already tell it's gonna make some great, delicious burnt ends. Look at that. Crispy, crunchy burnt ends. I'm gonna save that to the side, and we're gonna start slicing in. It is kind of hard to slice through the bark because it is a little bit tougher than normal. But once you get through it, it's pretty tender. And also, I'm cheating a little bit here because this brisket isn't fully rested down. I got it up to around 195 when it got probe tender, and now it's back down to around 170. Usually I'd wait until they come down to 140. Hopefully that doesn't make too much of a difference though. Okay, I'm doing some pretty thick slices here. Let's take a look at this point slice here. We'll pull it apart. Pulls apart really nicely. So that's a well-cooked brisket, and you can see that the fat rendering is almost perfect. It's kind of burning my hand. Nice smoke ring, really nice smoke ring. Let's take a bite. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing, the bark is to die for. The bark is smokier, it is crispier, it is crunchier, it is all around better than my normal briskets. This is a bit drier though, unfortunately. But look at that fat cap rendering, that is just amazing. Just squishy, caramelized. Super smoky too. Let's grab a burnt end here. Oh, that's so good. Okay, cutting into the flat. The flat does look at first glance like it's gonna be a little bit drier than I'm used to. The bark is kind of just shredding a little bit. So these are thicker slices. Let's pull this apart. Pulls apart really easily. The flat's a little undercooked, so it probably could have used some more time on the smoker. But again, the bark, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal bark. And so smoky. That is the smokiest brisket, but good smoke. Good smoke. And just looking at the very tip, I mean, I'd probably just throw that away, to be honest. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not inedible. It's just drier. But the bark, arguably, does it make up for it? I don't know. It is really good bark. Moving on to the long hold brisket. Nice looking brisket, a little bit lighter in color. Still pretty smoky, really smoky. Okay, now you guys tell me, compare that one to the last one. Looks a little bit juicier so far. Burnt ends. The bark is a little bit soggier. I mean, normally my bark is like that because it backs off a lot during the long hold. So it's not crispy. Like I'm doing this, you can't really hear it. It's just kind of scraping the soggy bark off. It's not like the Black's brisket where it was really crispy, making that crispy sound when I scrape my knife over it. Okay, let's cut these slices here. Slicing a lot easier. Feels more tender. Feels more juicy. Feels like there's more moisture in it. Pull that apart. Pulls apart decently. Still got really good rendering. Really good fat rendering. 100 times juicier than the last brisket. So unfortunately, I think that's what you lose out on when you don't wrap brisket and you don't do the long hold. This one is definitely juicier. Flat slices. Nice and juicy. Actually, let's just start from the very tip. I can already tell this is kind of the benefit of doing it this way. Is you get really nice, juicy flat slices all the way to the tip of the flat. It's good. Okay, quick conclusions, some pros for the Black's method. I really liked the bark. It was much better bark than what I normally get on briskets. It was crispier, it was smokier, the rendering was arguably better. But there are two big cons in my opinion. The first one is that it takes a lot longer overall to cook the brisket because you basically have to spend 6 to 8 hours on day one smoking your brisket, then you refrigerate it overnight, or maybe you could wait a couple weeks even and leave it in your refrigerator or days. But then on day 2 of the cook, you have to cook the brisket for, I would say probably at least another 6 hours. In my case, it took 8 or 9 hours. I was maybe running a little bit too low in temps. 250 to 275 wasn't high enough. I probably should have been running 300 the whole time, but the overall cook time was a lot longer. Basically 2 full work days of work just to cook one brisket, and also it used double the wood because I was cooking on 2 days. The other big con is that it was not as juicy as my normal briskets. It was a little bit on the drier side. I think this method would work really well for prime grade briskets or Wagyu briskets that have a lot of intramuscular marbling and fat. I'm usually cooking Costco briskets that are lower grade, choice grade briskets that don't have a lot of fat in them. So I have kind of optimized my brisket cooking style to those type of briskets. But if you're cooking a fattier brisket with more intramuscular marbling and you want to go for maximum bark, then the Black's method is definitely the way to go. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy smoking.